A flash of light tore across the darkness of space as the massive Imperial warship emerged at the edge of the solar system. The ship was enormous, nearly the size of Earth's moon, its metal hull covered in strange markings and weapons. On the command bridge, Admiral Rex stood with his hands clasped behind his back. His red uniform was covered in medals and badges that told of the many worlds he had conquered. He looked at the blue planet displayed on the large screen before him and smiled. "Another primitive world for the Empire," he said to the officers around him. "Scan the planet. I want to know what resources they have and how strong their defenses are." The crew hurried to obey his orders. Rex had conquered more than 50 planets for the Empire. Earth would be number 51. "Admiral, our scans show the planet is rich in water, minerals, and organic life," reported one of the officers. "Their technology appears to be very basic. They have some satellites and small space stations, but nothing that could stop us." Rex nodded. "Send them our standard message. They have 30 days to surrender, or we will take their world by force." Far below on Earth, in a secret underground facility beneath the Rocky Mountains, alarms began to sound. Dr. Alan Miller rushed into the control room where dozens of technicians were working at computer screens. "What do we have?" Miller asked, his voice calm despite the flashing red lights. "Sir, we've detected a massive object at the edge of our solar system," said a young woman at one of the screens. "It just appeared out of nowhere. Our satellites are picking up energy readings unlike anything we've ever seen." Miller wasn't surprised. For 20 years, he had been in charge of the Global Defense Initiative, a secret organization created by the world's governments after they detected strange signals from deep space. While the public remained unaware, Earth had been preparing for this day. "Alert the Council," Miller said. "Tell them First Contact Protocol is now active." Within hours, world leaders gathered in the secret facility. Their faces showed fear as Miller explained what had been detected. Then, a message came through. It appeared on every screen, television, and radio across the planet. "People of Earth," said a cold voice in strangely accented English, "I am Admiral Rex of the Galactic Empire. Your world has been selected for incorporation into our realm. You have 30 days to surrender your governments, resources, and military forces. Resistance will result in your destruction. This is not negotiable." The room fell silent. Then an older man, the Secretary General of the United Nations, spoke up. "What are our options, Dr. Miller? Can we fight them?" Miller walked to a large table in the center of the room and pressed a button. The 3D image appeared, showing Earth surrounded by hundreds of small dots. "For the past 20 years, we've been building defenses," Miller explained. "Weapons platforms disguised as satellites, underground bases, advanced technology developed from studying pieces of alien craft that crashed in remote areas over the decades." He looked at each person in the room before continuing. "But we don't know their full capabilities yet. I suggest we don't show our hand immediately. Instead, we send them a simple message." "What kind of message could possibly matter to beings who can travel between stars?" asked the President of the United States. Miller smiled slightly. "A warning. One warning only. Then we wait to see what they do. If they're smart, they'll take us seriously and leave. If not..." Captain Lisa Reed, Miller's chief of operations, stepped forward. "If not, we show them why it was a mistake to threaten Earth." The leaders debated briefly, but in the end, they agreed. Earth would send one message back to the Empire. Aboard his ship, Admiral Rex was surprised when he received a response so quickly. He expected begging or immediate surrender. Instead, the message was short and simple. "We advise against hostile action. This is our only warning." Rex laughed out loud and turned to his second-in-command, Commander Voss. "It seems these humans have some spirit after all," he said. "Prepare the scout ships. Let's see what kind of primitive weapons they think could possibly stop the Empire." Voss nodded, but something about the message troubled her. It wasn't fearful or desperate. It was calm and certain, almost as if They were ready. Commander Voss walked through the corridors of the Imperial flagship, her mind troubled. She had served with Admiral Rex for 7 years and had seen him conquer world after world. But something about this Earth mission felt different. She entered the Admiral's private chamber and found him studying maps of Earth's major cities. "Admiral, the scout ships are ready," she reported. "We can launch them within the hour." Rex nodded without looking up. "Good. Send 10 ships. Have them scan their military bases, power stations, and government buildings. Don't attack yet. Just gather information." "Sir," Voss said carefully, about their message. "It was unusual compared to other worlds we've encountered." Rex finally looked up, his eyes narrowed. "Are you concerned about a primitive planet that has barely reached its own moon? Their warning is empty. They have no idea what they're facing." "Of course, Admiral," Voss said, lowering her eyes. "I'll launch the scouts immediately." As she left, Rex turned back to his maps. He had conquered worlds with far more advanced technology than Earth. This would be an easy victory to add to his record. Down on Earth, Dr. Miller stood in the control center of the Global Defense Initiative, watching as the main screen tracked 10 small ships leaving the massive Imperial vessel. "They're sending scouts," Miller said to Captain Reed, who stood beside him. "Just as we expected." Reed nodded, her face serious. "All defense systems are ready but hidden. Should we take any of them down?" Miller shook his head. "Not yet. Let them look around. Let them think we're defenseless. The more overconfident they become, the better for us." He turned to the room full of operators and technicians. "Make sure all our advanced systems remain in stealth mode. Let them see only what we want them to see, a planet with basic defenses and frightened people." Around the world, military leaders followed Miller's plan. Fighter jets were sent up as if in panic, using outdated radar systems that the Imperial scouts could easily detect. Missile silos opened, revealing weapons that would be considered primitive by galactic standards. It was all a show, a carefully crafted illusion. The real defenses of Earth remained hidden beneath the oceans, inside mountains, and disguised as ordinary satellites. The Imperial scouts spent 6 hours flying over Earth, scanning and observing. They watched military bases scramble jets, saw ships at sea change course, and recorded the panicked movement of troops. They detected the heat signatures of nuclear missiles being prepared, but saw nothing that could threaten their advanced technology. When the scouts returned to the flagship, Rex gathered his officers to hear their report. "As expected, Admiral," said the head scout pilot. "They have nuclear weapons, some basic space capabilities, and conventional military forces. Nothing that could harm our ships. They seem to be in a state of panic." Rex smiled. "And their warning? Did you see anything that might explain their confidence?" "Nothing, sir. Their most advanced weapons are at least 200 years behind Imperial technology." Voss listened to the report but couldn't shake her feeling of unease. "Admiral, permission to speak freely?" Rex nodded. "I've reviewed the scout recordings, and something doesn't add up. Their movements seem rehearsed, almost as if they wanted us to see certain things." Rex laughed. "You're overthinking this, Commander. They're showing us everything they have because they're desperate." He turned to his tactical officer. "Prepare a small strike force. Target their largest military installation in a place called—" He checked his notes. "North America. Just one base. I want them to understand what they're facing." "Yes, Admiral," the officer replied. In the underground command center, Miller received the news from their orbital sensors. "They're preparing a small attack force," he told the gathered world leaders. "Just as we predicted. They want to demonstrate their power. And we'll let them," Reed added, "up to a point." Miller nodded and turned to a secure communication screen. "Activate Defense Protocol Alpha. All units in the target zone prepare for limited engagement. Remember, we don't show them everything, just enough to make them think twice." Around the world, hidden systems came to life. In underground bunkers, soldiers prepared unique weapons. In secret bases beneath the ocean, engineers powered up defense shields. Earth was ready. Back on the Imperial flagship, Admiral Rex gave the order to launch the attack. Show these humans the power of the Empire. After this demonstration, they'll have no choice but to surrender. As the attack ships launched, Commander Voss watched them go. The warning from Earth repeated in her mind. We advise against hostile action. This is our only warning. For the first time in her career, she wondered if the Empire had made a mistake. 5 Imperial attack ships entered Earth's atmosphere, their sleek forms cutting through clouds as they descended toward their target, a large military base in the Nevada desert. From space, Admiral Rex watched on the main screen, a satisfied smile on his face. Record everything, he ordered. I want the humans to see this footage when we demand their surrender again. The attack ships moved in formation, their weapons ready. Below them, the military base appeared to be in chaos. Soldiers ran for cover, tanks moved into defensive positions, and anti-aircraft guns turned skyward. The lead Imperial ship fired first. A beam of bright energy shot down, destroying a row of hangars in an explosion of fire and smoke. The other ships joined in, targeting radar installations, barracks, and vehicle depots. In the underground command center, Dr. Miller and Captain Reed watched the attack on their screens. Around them, government officials looked worried as they saw the base being destroyed. Shouldn't we stop them? Asked the U.S. President, his face pale. Miller shook his head. Not yet. The base is mostly empty. We evacuated everyone except volunteers who knew the risks. We need to let them think their attack is successful. Reed pointed to a screen showing a mountain ridge several miles from the base. Our countermeasure is in position. When they finish with the base and move to their secondary target, we'll spring the first trap. The Imperial ships continued their attack for 10 minutes, reducing most of the visible base to ruins. The Earth forces fired back with conventional weapons, missiles, and artillery, but they had no effect on the Imperial ship shields. On the flagship, Rex laughed. Look at their primitive weapons. They can't even touch our smallest ships. Commander Voss watched silently. The Earth defense seemed too disorganized, too ineffective. Even primitive civilizations usually had some surprises. These humans were making it too easy. Admiral, she said carefully, permission to send a second wave to attack their naval forces. The scouts reported a large fleet in the Pacific Ocean. Rex considered this. Good idea, Commander. Let's show them we can destroy their forces on water as well as land. Send 3 ships to their Pacific fleet. 3 more attack ships left the flagship, heading toward the Pacific Ocean, where a group of Earth naval vessels was gathered. As they approached, the Imperial pilots saw several aircraft carriers, destroyers, and submarines, all moving in what seemed like confused patterns. The first Imperial ship targeted an aircraft carrier, firing its energy weapon. But just before the beam hit, something unexpected happened. The ocean around the fleet shimmered, and the beam seemed to bend slightly, hitting the water instead of the ship. What was that? The Imperial pilot said, confused. He fired again, aiming more carefully. This time, the beam hit its target, but it did less damage than it should have. In the mountain ridge near the Nevada base, Captain Reed gave the order, activate EMP weapon. A hidden installation in the rocks powered up, sending an invisible pulse of energy toward the Imperial ships attacking the base. 3 of the 5 ships suddenly lost power, their engines failing as they began to fall from the sky. The other 2 ships managed to activate some kind of shield just in time, protecting them from the full effect. On the flagship, alarms sounded as they lost contact with 3 attack ships. What happened? Rex demanded, his confident smile gone. The communications officer worked frantically at his station. We've lost ships 3, 4, and 5, sir. They just went dark. Ships 1 and 2 report they were hit with some kind of energy pulse that nearly disabled them. Rex's face turned red with anger. That's impossible. The scouts reported no such weapons. Commander Voss stepped forward. Admiral, the ships in the Pacific are also reporting problems. Their weapons aren't working as effectively as they should. The Earth vessels seem to have some kind of defensive field around them. Defensive field. Energy pulses. Rex slammed his fist on a console. These are not primitive weapons. We were misled. Voss nodded. It appears their warning was not empty after all. On Earth, Miller received reports from both battle zones. The EMP weapon had worked perfectly, disabling 3 enemy ships which were now being recovered by Special Forces teams. In the Pacific, the experimental shield system had reduced damage to the fleet by 60%. Phase 1 complete, Miller said, a small smile forming on his lips. Now they know we weren't bluffing. Reed looked at the screens showing the damaged but still dangerous Imperial ships. But we've only shown them a fraction of what we can do. What's their next move? Miller's smile faded. They'll escalate. Bring everything we have to full readiness. The real test is about to begin. Admiral Rex paced the command bridge of his flagship, his face dark with anger. 3 of his ships had been captured, and the others had retreated with damage. This was not how conquest was supposed to go. I want every attack ship we have ready in 1 hour, he ordered. Target their major cities, power plants, and communication centers. If they have hidden defenses, we'll overwhelm them with numbers. Commander Voss stepped forward. Admiral, perhaps we should reconsider. These humans clearly have technology we didn't detect. Maybe we should. Are you suggesting we retreat because of one setback? Rex interrupted, his voice dangerous. The Empire does not retreat. We will crush these humans and take their world, as we have done 1,000 times before. Voss fell silent, but her doubts grew stronger. On Earth, Dr. Miller called an emergency meeting with world leaders. The Empire will launch a major attack soon, he said. They'll target civilian areas to force our surrender. Can we stop them? Asked the Russian president, her face grim. Miller nodded. It's time to activate our full defense network. Captain Reed. Reed stepped to a large control panel and placed her hand on a scanner. A voice asked for authorization. Captain Lisa Reed, authorization Sierra. Echo Victor Echo November. The screen changed, showing a map of Earth with hundreds of points of light. For 20 years, Reed explained, we've been building this network. Quantum shield generators under every major city, orbital weapons platforms disguised as communications satellites, rail guns hidden in mountain ranges and under the oceans. She pressed a series of buttons. All systems are now active. Across the planet, hidden technology came to life. In New York, London, Beijing, and every major city, invisible shields formed dome-like barriers. In orbit, ordinary-looking satellites transformed, revealing advanced weapon systems. The Imperial attack began at dawn. Over 100 ships descended from the flagship, spreading out to attack targets worldwide. They expected little resistance after seeing Earth's primitive defenses earlier. The first wave approached New York City. The lead ship fired its energy weapon at the tallest building. But instead of destruction, the beam hit an invisible barrier that glowed blue for a moment before absorbing the attack. What is that? The Imperial pilot shouted. Command, the city has some kind of shield. Similar reports came in from all attack groups. Every major target on Earth was protected by energy shields equal to or stronger than Imperial technology. As the Imperial ships adjusted their attack plans, Earth's hidden defenses revealed themselves. From the ocean near Japan, a massive rail gun rose from the waves, aimed and fired. The projectile moved at incredible speed, tearing through an Imperial ship's shields and hull in one shot. In orbit, Earth's satellite weapons opened fire on the Imperial ships from behind. Dozens of ships, caught by surprise, were damaged or destroyed before they could react. Admiral Rex watched in disbelief as his attack force was decimated. Impossible, he shouted. "How do they have this technology? Where did they hide it?" Commander Voss studied the tactical display. "Admiral, we're losing ships too quickly. We should withdraw and reassess." Rex slammed his fist down. "No, I will not be defeated by these humans. Prepare my personal command ship. I will lead the next attack myself and target their command center. We've detected unusual energy readings from a facility in the mountains." On Earth, Miller and Reed watched the Empire's ships retreating. "They'll be back," Reed said, "and they'll target us here next." Miller nodded. Time for the final phase. He turned to a communications officer. "Send the signal to the moonbase. Launch the fleet." On the far side of Earth's moon, hidden from both Earth and the Imperial ships, a secret base opened its massive doors. From inside, 20 sleek spacecraft emerged, their designs unlike anything built publicly on Earth. They were the result of decades of reverse engineering alien technology, improved by human innovation. The lead ship was piloted by Major Tom Jackson, Earth's most skilled test pilot. "Moonbase to command," he reported. "Earth Defense Fleet is launched and ready, moving to engage the enemy flagship." As the Earth ships accelerated toward the Imperial flagship, Admiral Rex prepared his final assault, unaware that the humans had one more surprise waiting. Major Tom Jackson led Earth's hidden fleet toward the massive Imperial flagship. His ship, named Defender, was the most advanced spacecraft humans had ever built. It combined Earth engineering with technology, learned from studying alien craft that had crashed on Earth decades ago. "All ships, maintain formation," Tom ordered through his communication system. "Remember your training. Their weapons are powerful, but our shields were designed specifically to counter them." Behind him, 19 ships followed in perfect formation. Each was piloted by the best pilots Earth had to offer, chosen from every nation and trained in secret for years. On the Imperial flagship, alarms sounded as sensors detected the approaching Earth fleet. "Admiral," shouted the sensor officer, 20 unknown vessels approaching from the direction of their moon. They're moving faster than anything we've seen from them before." Admiral Rex rushed to the main view screen. His face showed shock as he saw the sleek Earth ships approaching his flagship. "Impossible," he whispered. "They shouldn't have this technology." Commander Voss studied the readings. "Sir, these ships appear to be using a modified version of our own drive technology. And their weapon systems." She paused, surprised by what she was seeing. "Their weapon systems are targeting our specific shield frequencies." Rex turned to his weapons officer. "Destroy them. Use all weapons." The Imperial flagship fired its main cannon. A massive beam of energy shot toward the Earth fleet. But instead of scattering, the Earth ships held formation. The lead ship, Defender, moved slightly forward and activated a shield that glowed with blue energy. The Imperial beam hit the shield and seemed to be absorbed, then redirected in multiple smaller beams that shot harmlessly into space. "What just happened?" Rex demanded. They absorbed our energy weapon and redirected it," the weapons officer said in disbelief. "Our scans indicate their shields were designed specifically to counter our weapons." In the Defender, Major Tom smiled grimly. "Now it's our turn. All ships, attack pattern Delta. Target their weapons systems and engines." The Earth fleet split into smaller groups, moving with incredible speed around the Imperial flagship. They fired weapons that looked like streams of blue light. Where they hit, the Imperial ship's hull seemed to simply dissolve. In the underground command center, Dr. Miller watched the battle on the main screen. World leaders gathered around him, their faces showing a mixture of hope and amazement. "How is this possible?" asked the Chinese president. "How did we develop such technology in secret?" Miller pointed to a section of the screen showing the captured Imperial ships from the first attack. "Every time we encountered alien technology, we didn't just study it, we improved it. Those ships you see were built using knowledge gained from a crashed scout ship we recovered in 1947. We've been preparing for this day for much longer than anyone knows, Captain Reed added, and we kept everything secret because we detected the Empire's communications decades ago. We knew they were coming, so we presented the image of a divided, technologically primitive world, while secretly uniting and advancing. On the flagship, Admiral Rex watched in horror as his ship's systems failed one by one. The Earth fleet methodically targeted weapons, shields, and engines, disabling the mighty Imperial vessel without destroying it. "Admiral," Commander Voss said firmly, "we must surrender. We cannot win this battle." "Surrender," Rex shouted. "The Empire does not surrender to primitives." "They are not primitives," Voss replied. "They warned us. One warning, and we ignored it. Now we are paying the price." As the flagship's engines died and it drifted helplessly in space, the Earth fleet surrounded it completely. Major Tom's voice came through on all frequencies. "Imperial flagship, this is Major Tom Jackson of Earth Defense Fleet. Your ship is disabled. Your attack fleet is destroyed. You have two options: surrender and open diplomatic talks, or be destroyed. Unlike you, we will give you time to decide. You have 1 hour." On Earth, Miller turned to the world leaders. "Now we wait." But regardless of their answer, today marks a new era for humanity. We are no longer alone in the universe, and we have proven that we will not be conquered. The Russian president nodded slowly. "One warning was all we gave them." And Reed added with a slight smile, "It was all we needed." Aboard the disabled Imperial flagship, Admiral Rex paced furiously while his officers watched in silence. For the first time in his long career of conquest, he faced defeat. The thought was unbearable. "I will not surrender to these humans," he declared. "Restore emergency power to the weapons systems. We will fight until the end." Commander Voss stood before him, her decision made. "No, Admiral. I cannot allow you to sacrifice the lives of everyone on this ship because of your pride." She turned to the other officers. "The Admiral is relieved of command. I am taking control as per Imperial Protocol 27B, which allows removal of a commander who is acting irrationally." Rex reached for his weapon, but 2 security officers grabbed his arms. Years of serving under his harsh command had earned him few friends among the crew. "This is mutiny," Rex shouted as they took him away. Voss sat in the command chair and opened a channel to the Earth fleet. "This is Commander Voss of the Imperial vessel. Admiral Rex has been relieved of command. I wish to discuss terms of surrender." Major Tom received the message with surprise. He contacted Earth Command immediately. "They're surrendering," he reported to Dr. Miller. "Their second-in-command has taken over." Miller nodded thoughtfully. "Bring her to the command center. I want to speak with her directly." 4 hours later, Commander Voss stood in Earth's underground command center, surrounded by guards but treated with respect. She looked around with undisguised curiosity at the advanced technology. "You hid all this from our scouts," she said to Miller. "How?" Miller smiled slightly. "We detected your Empire's communications many years ago. We knew you were conquering worlds systematically. So we presented what you expected to see, a divided planet with primitive technology, while secretly uniting and preparing." Captain Reed entered with a data tablet. "The Imperial flagship is secure. Our teams are downloading their databases. What we're finding is troubling." She handed the tablet to Miller, who studied it with a grim expression. "Your Empire has conquered 50 worlds," he said to Voss. "On each one, you've stripped resources until the planet was nearly uninhabitable, then moved on. You've enslaved entire species, destroyed ancient cultures." Voss looked down. "The Empire believes it is our right. The strong conquer the weak. It has always been this way in the galaxy." "Not anymore," Miller said firmly. "Not with Earth now in the equation." He showed her images of the Earth fleet now surrounding the Imperial flagship. "We could destroy your ship. We could use the technology we've captured to strike at the heart of your Empire. But that's not our way. What do you want?" Voss asked quietly. Peace, Miller replied. Recognition of Earth as a sovereign and independent world that is not part of your empire. And, he paused, information about the other worlds you've conquered. Voss looked surprised. Why do you want that? Reed stepped forward. Because we intend to help them. In a separate room, Major Tom and his pilots studied the star maps taken from the Imperial ship. They'd marked the locations of conquered worlds and Imperial fleet positions. We can reach the nearest enslaved planet in 2 weeks with our new drives, Tom said. Our fleet is small, but with the technology we've captured, we can build more ships quickly. One of the pilots, a woman named Anna, looked concerned. Are we really planning to fight the entire empire? Even with our technology, they outnumber us. Tom smiled. We won't be fighting alone. According to Commander Voss, there are resistance movements on many conquered worlds. They just need a little help and hope. Back in the command center, Miller offered Voss a data pad showing the terms of Earth's peace proposal. Your crew will be treated well and eventually return to your people, he explained. Admiral Rex will face trial for war crimes, both against us and other species, and you will be our liaison with the Empire. The Empire will not accept these terms, Voss warned. They will send more ships, a larger fleet. Miller's expression hardened. Then they will receive the same lesson Rex did. We gave one warning. We would have preferred peace, but if the Empire wants war instead. He gestured to a screen showing Earth's fleet and defensive systems. We are ready. Voss studied the human leader carefully. I believe you are, she said quietly, and I fear my people have made a terrible mistake in challenging yours. 6 months passed since the battle with the Imperial flagship. Earth had changed in ways few could have imagined. The secret of humanity's advanced technology was now public knowledge, and nations worked together with a unity never seen before. Dr. Miller stood at the window of the new Global Defense Headquarters, watching as workers assembled a massive spacecraft in the valley below. It was 3 times larger than any in the First Fleet, designed for both exploration and defense. Captain Reed entered the room, now wearing the uniform of a general. The Imperial delegation has arrived, she announced. They're waiting in the conference room. Miller nodded. And our guest. Former Admiral Rex is being brought in separately. He doesn't look happy about attending his own trial. They walked together through corridors filled with people from every nation on Earth, working side by side. In the 6 months since the battle, humanity had made incredible progress by combining their knowledge with technology from the captured Imperial ships. In the conference room, Commander Voss, now the official Imperial ambassador to Earth, waited with 3 other Imperial officials. Their faces showed a mixture of respect and unease. Ambassador Voss, Miller greeted her. Thank you for arranging this meeting. Voss bowed slightly. The Imperial Council has reviewed your peace proposal. They find some terms difficult to accept. Let me guess, Reed said. They don't want to recognize the independence of the other worlds they've conquered. The Empire has ruled the galaxy for 1,000 years, one of the officials said stiffly. We cannot simply release planets because Earth demands it. Miller smiled. We're not just demanding it. We're making it happen. He activated a large screen showing a map of the galaxy. On it, 7 worlds previously under Imperial control now glowed with a different color. In the past 6 months, our fleet has helped 7 worlds gain their independence, Miller explained. We provided weapons to their resistance fighters, shields for their cities, and removed Imperial forces. The officials looked shocked. One of them stood up angrily. This is an act of war. The Empire will not stand for this interference. At that moment, the door opened, and former Admiral Rex was brought in, his hands bound. He looked older, his face lined with bitterness. Tell them what you found out, Miller said to him. Rex looked at his former colleagues with hatred. These humans, he spat the word, have built 50 more warships since our battle. They have weapons platforms throughout their solar system. They've formed alliances with 7 freed worlds, with 10 more ready to join them. He laughed without humor. The Empire cannot defeat them now. The officials whispered among themselves, their faces pale. Voss turned to Miller. Is this true? In answer, Miller activated another screen showing the solar system. Throughout it, defense platforms and shipyards could be seen. Ships moved between planets, carrying resources and people. We didn't want war, Miller said quietly. We gave one warning. The Empire chose not to listen. He handed Voss a document. These are our final terms. Earth and its allied worlds will form a new alliance, one based on mutual respect and aid, not conquest. The Empire can join as an equal partner, or it can stay away from our territories. The choice is yours. As the Imperial officials studied the document, Major Tom entered the room. He now commanded Earth's growing fleet. The Jupiter shipyards are online, he reported. And we've received messages from 3 more worlds asking for our help against Imperial occupation. Reed smiled. Tell them help is on the way. Later that evening, Miller stood on the roof of the headquarters, looking up at the stars. Reed joined him, carrying 2 cups of coffee. Do you think the Empire will accept our terms? She asked, handing him a cup. Miller took a sip before answering. Eventually. They've never faced a species like us before. What makes us different? Miller smiled. We gave them one warning. Just one. And when they ignored it, we showed them exactly what happens when humanity is threatened. He looked up at the stars again. The galaxy is about to learn an important lesson about humans. And what's that? Reed asked. We prefer peace. We offer friendship. But if pushed to war, Miller's voice became firm. We will never stop until we win. In orbit above Earth, the flagship of humanity's new fleet prepared for its first mission of liberation. On its side, large letters spelled out a simple message that was now famous across 7 worlds. We advise against hostile action. That is our only